Off here, there'll be a kind of a raised deal where they go to the mole deal, and then over here there might be a straight track for quite a ways. You'll be able to see it like that. And where you want to get into that one of those straight tracks, and you hole where the mole track is, like running through there and over there, and when you find those that are straight, they're going to be straight across, so you don't want to get in a Y or anything, and you don't want it curving. You want to get in a straight place, and then you take some of the dirt you dug out and stuff it in that hole, and just kind of pack that hole lightly full of dirt. And you do the same thing on the other side and pack that hole a little full of dirt. And then when you get that all packed full of dirt good, then we'll shove in some more lightly, and we'll make to cover up to the top of that deal, right where the tunnel would be. So it'd still be a tunnel if it went through there and covered completely. Following this?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Let me explain it back to you.
What you're saying here basically is
you've located this track that's running straight through here. Go over there and push that down with your foot or something on that track.
Right in here, let's see, like that.
And push it down again out there a little bit, and over here a couple times on this side. That's it, to close down that tunnel a little bit.
I see. So
that when that guy comes running through there, he's going to have to do some digging over there to get through. Not enough to where he don't get out of here. It got his foot caught in there, and when the trap was clear out of the hole and laying over here on some distance from the hole, and the mole still had his foot caught in it and was alive, and had been there for a day or so when I found it. And I felt really bad because he was really suffering, but he was a mole. And but that's the only one. Most of them gets them right square in the middle of the body. And you can see here now, even though that's down in the dirt, when that trap triggers like this, the mole can't move fast enough to avoid it. And it comes out, and it would have had him, see, if there'd been one in there.
Okay, so just recap, just put dirt on each side of the entrance. Fill up the center of it a little bit with loose dirt. Trample down both sides of the track. When you place this, you want to be between two molehills?
Well, it doesn't have to be. The thing is, putting it right in a molehill sometimes will work, but most of the pile, just off of that, maybe 4 or 5 inches over here will be the pile. And so oftentimes you'll see a straight track with a little offshoot. So they carry some of the dirt over and shove it out there, but they don't put it right in the main trail usually. If it's a real active mound and the hill is small, sometimes you can put it in the hill and catch them because they're still filling it, you know. But generally, when you see those high mounds out there, that's where they've been, and they aren't going to go back there again.
So the high.
But if they've already got enough dirt there out, I mean, for what they need, they're not going to go back to that again. They'll stay in their main tracks. Once in a while, you'll find a pile in.
How do you find the main track?
Well, you'll see it because it'll be raised. The ground will always be raised slightly, about maybe an inch or two above the rest of the ground, and it'll go between these mounds.
Okay. And that's where you want to put this track.
Yeah, where you get a nice straight shot at it. If it's like I say, if it's wide or if it's curved, they'll go around your trap a lot of times because they'll shortcut across, or they take pretty much the line of least resistance, you know, up to a point. If you pack the dirt down like real hard in the track before you get here, really hard, they'll just veer off and go somewhere else. You know?
You won't even mess with it. So you just want to collapse it a little bit.
Yeah, so they just have to work a little bit more than going through there freely. And you don't want to be discouraged because sometimes you have to leave a trap for, I would leave a trap somewhere for, I would say 3 days before I'd even consider moving it.
Really?
Yeah, because sometimes they just don't get back to it for that long. If after about 3 days you don't get it, well then I'd go find another spot. But generally, if they're active, you'll catch them. You know, it's become so routine here with the ones that we've had here that that I just say, oh, I'm going out and get a mole, and I've set the trap, and the next morning I go out and pick it up, and there's one in it, you know. Be in line with this, so that when they come through there like that, that trap's going to close on them.
So this has to be lined up with the tunnel?
With the hole, yeah.
So
Pretty
you
much.
need enough dirt. How far do you put this thing under the dirt? So you pull enough dirt up
so that the tunnel remains intact, or at least covered. And then this deal, the jaws of this trap will close on what used to be the tunnel. Before you.
Okay, and the key is to bending this up or down? Which
well, just put a little bend in it, a little bow, and you bend it. I think that you see when you look at one of them, if you get a trap, a new trap, try it a few times. You know, setting it and clicking it, and if it
bend it down.
Yeah, to get a little. This what it does is it just gives you a little earlier trigger. When they trigger that thing, when it's straight, you got it. Sometimes you have it too low, and I have found that just bending them a little bit helps. And the other thing, of course, is cutting that end sometimes if you really want to make it go fast. But that's about half dangerous for you when you do that, because they really are.
Just groove down.
Yeah, I just did it with a hacksaw and then fit it in that little slot on the end there, and it really makes them hair triggered that way. But some of these guys are pretty small. And
what's the name of this trap? What kind of trap is it?
You know, I don't know. It's the kind that is the most commonly used mole trap. They're about $5 or $6, $7, something like that, at like Co-op and those kind of stores. It's I think that
and they come complete with this opening.
Yeah,
and stuff?
And I think that most of them nowadays are probably made. I've got this one and another one just like it, and one of them is made in China and one of them was made in Korea, and the spring on one of them is better than the other, but I can't remember which now. Another thing that one of the guy that showed me a lot about this said is that he said if his trap got contaminated by handling it or something, or after it catches a mole, he always sprays it with WD-40, and I think you as a fisherman, you know, have used that same method, and he claims that it helps. But I've never had any trouble catching them without it, so I don't know whether it really is
makes a difference.
Yeah, whether it makes a difference or not. But I do know that you don't want to make your traps too neat by keeping them real clean and all that. You want to keep them as much like this one looks. You know, because it seems like when they're new they don't work as well as they do when they're after they've been in the ground for a while. And I think that probably the mole's sense of smell is so good that it's a foreign to them. But after it's become rusty and soiled and all that, it's probably pretty normal. Because they seem to. I know that when I first used these two traps like this one, I began to think the traps weren't any good. But after I left them in for a while, then they really started to work.
Good.
These traps have a safety on them too. This little deal here is a safety.
You
put that over that way, and it won't catch anything, including you. Won't catch moles, won't catch.
Which way?
Just the way it is right now. When you lay that over on the same side that this rod is, if you have it on that side, it's not going to work.
Because
I'll show you why.
Okay.
It's a safety. Well, it did that time. It's not supposed to. But what the idea is that this catches on this other piece and won't allow it to go over there. It's not altogether effective, as you see, but it's supposed to be the safety on the trap. But I have found them to be so ineffective that I haven't. I don't use them much. But you have to be very careful. Should have worked when that's over like that. That's supposed to keep the trap from opening or closing when you don't want it to.
Well, there's probably no dirt around it, so it probably works faster.
Yeah.
Now, on this trigger mechanism here, normally that is straight.
I just bend it down. So
normally this is straight, but you just bend it down
slightly because it fits the mole track through there better that way.
And underneath it right here, you got to dig it out of the dirt. So
a little bit, so it'll get down in dirt. Because what you want to do is the mole comes through the tunnel where the tunnel is like this through there,
Right.
you want that mole to
Push.
move the dirt up enough so that it
Hits
triggers that. Yeah.
Right.
And so the lower this is, or the closer to the actual tunnel, the better the chances of triggering.
I see. And that's just easy to bend that way.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay. Then the next thing that you did, go ahead and trip it. Let's watch it work.
Well, I'll leave that safety. We'll try it again, but I don't know that that will work. It didn't last time. Sometimes. And it didn't work again.
Okay, I want to just get a close up. Flip it up. I want to get a close up of that notch.
Oh, on here?
Yeah, just hold it there. And that notch you grooved out with a hacksaw, and you're going to groove it, and it fits
on that.
It fits right on that right there. Okay.
And like I say, that's not necessarily a thing you need to use every time, but if you're having difficulty with one, that sure is a